Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Michelle Aubin and Linda Lang.
Welcome to the mystical side of life. My name is Linda Lang from ThoughtChange.com. I've got Deborah Lupian from Akasha Unleashed. Deborah's been a guest on our show before, and today she's going to talk to us about divine gifts. Deborah is also the author of Akasha Unleashed. It's a beautiful book if you're interested in learning more about yourself, the Akashic records, and how exploring them can really bring you a deeper awareness of yourself. Deborah, please say hello.
Hi, Linda. Thanks so much for having me. It's always a delight to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's just jump right into our divine gifts. First of all, let's start with what kind of things are divine gifts?
There are 8 specific divine gifts, and we each have a portion of every single one of them because we're made up. That's our completeness, to have a piece of all of those. But in my readings that I do, I look to find out what your primary gift is, because the primary one is the one you have the most of, and that is the one that informs upon who you are in your daily life. And understanding about your gift helps you to understand yourself better so that you know how you can more effectively relate to others in the world. And it's also connected to your purpose, which everybody mostly wants to know about their soul purpose. So sometimes a soul will have a secondary gift in a large proportion, much more than the others. And when that happens, then I will share with them both their primary and secondary. And then for those lucky souls, they get to balance those 2 gifts. So each of the gifts has challenges. So now you've doubled it with having 2 gifts. So you've got, more of this kind of stuff you're doing.
So more isn't always better.
Not in this case, no. No, it's not. But it's the way you were created. It's how the Creator wired us. So it's perfect, and there's a reason for it, and it all fits together with all the other little pieces that we have as our soul matrix.
So Deborah, could you just kind of highlight for me whether or not that is a gift in this lifetime, or if it's something that our soul carries throughout our beingness?
Great question. Divine gifts are part of your original wiring. So you have that through every incarnation forever.
Wow. And most people think of divine gifts or gifts as like being clairvoyant or clairaudient. But I gather from this, these gifts are a little bit different than, say, spiritual or intuitive skills.
Yeah, way bigger than that. Although several of them are naturally intuitive, some are more psychic. And of course, there's variables within that scope. So yeah, that's a part of it. But maybe it would help just to tell you what the 8 gifts are so we can start from there and work our way through. So we number them just to keep them straight for ourselves. So we start with gift number 1, and that is compassion. So people with divine compassion are usually the people you will find running nonprofits. They're very much involved in doing good and helping humanity. And they don't often come for help because they're already doing it. So I've only met one person with that gift in all the years I've been doing this. Gift number 2. Did you have a question about that?
No, I just think it's really, I think that's a really interesting gift. Compassion. It's something the world needs more of, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're out there just quietly doing their thing and helping humanity.
Because compassion is very quiet and very accepting and just loving, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So number 2 is
number 2.
Creation. So I told this to a lady one time, and she said, "What, I'm supposed to have a lot of babies?" I said, "No, that's not what creation's about, although you can have babies if you want." Divine creation are the people who are very physical. Their gift works for them so that their senses are more finely tuned than the rest of us. So like feel and taste and touch are more visceral for these people. And I'm not divine creation, so I can't imagine what that feels like. But when I explain it to somebody who has the gift, they get it. Like, yeah, I understand that. So these are people who would be architects. They're out there building things. either buildings or communities, groups, wealth. They love to build wealth. They're very much into manifesting because very creative, right? And tactile people. So for them, they need to be out doing physical things with their body. And you know how we all tend to get stuck at times and manifestations shut down and life gets kind of sucky? Well, for all of the gifts, the solution is to get moving, because when we do that, we take new action, we go experience ourselves in new ways, gets the energy flowing, so that our manifestations kick in, right?
So you're talking about physically moving, like exercising, moving your body.
Exercise, but just moving, taking new action, doing. The doing is huge in manifestation.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just
for sure.
thinking.
Mhm.
So for all of us, that's true. To get unstuck, going and taking new action is really the way to go. And then we get unstuck and things start moving and the energy flows. But for divine creation, it's even more important because they are so physical already. So if they find themselves getting stuck, they can go out and take a walk around the block. They can go zip lining, whatever they want to do, get that movement happening. And then that opens them up for divine inspiration to come in so that they'll see the breadcrumbs from their guides. They're out there interacting and looking for messages. Excuse my dog, she's clicking around the floor.
I wondered what that noise was.
Hopefully she'll lie down shortly. I gave them both treats so they would leave us alone during our interview. So that's divine creation. They are often like yoga teachers, or as I said, maybe architects, but they're people who are very physically involved in the world. The next one we have is divine order. And divine order, these are the people who their soul just craves peace and beauty and harmony. They've got to have that in their lives. And often when I tell somebody they're divine order, they're like, no, I'm not. It doesn't fit me. Well, that's just because you're out of alignment with your gift. And if you will give yourself, even if it's just a small corner of a space, a place where you can go to recharge your battery, where you've got that peace and order and beauty and harmony, and just be there, because they are very sensitive souls and they need to go and be in that beautiful space where it's peaceful to recharge their batteries. So they're, as I said, they're very sensitive souls, and they're the ones who will find it hard to be out among people in large groups. It just, because they're so sensitive, it comes in on them and interrupts their space and their peace. So for those people, I recommend that they use Donna Eden's Zip Up tool to give themselves that little barrier, you know, their own protective energy bubble.
Yeah, it's a great tool. There's many, many tools actually for maintaining your energy, which would be a great topic for another podcast sometime. But for anyone listening, the Zip Up tool is just simply having like a zipper, and you're zipping it up, right? Right? Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, it gives you a little barricade between you and that energy that's coming at you. And it can make such a huge difference for people who are kind of tormented by their gift because they don't understand. And these people will sometimes shut themselves away. They often also will avoid confrontation. They don't like highly emotional situations. It's just so uncomfortable. And so they'll find themselves giving in to others and sacrificing their own needs just to keep the peace because it's so important to them. So for these people, they really need to understand that's how they're wired. It's perfect. It's just this is their challenge, and they do need to find a balance. So for divine order, I tell them, see it as your life is walking on a balance beam. You need to stay centered as much as you can, because if you tilt, you're going to fall off. So notice when you start to get out of balance. Give yourself that space where you recharge your battery and bring yourself back to centeredness. And then you can go out and face the world and wear your zip up if you need to.
Very good. What about gift number 4?
4 is divine love and healing. And so often people will think, oh, that means I've got to be a healer. No, that's not what it means. It means Creator wired you so that your energy that exudes from you is healing. People love being with divine love and healing because they bring this non-judgment and acceptance, and they just beam love. They don't have to try. It just happens because they're wired that way. So if they choose to be a healer, they could be an exceptional healer, but they don't have to. They're the ones who people will confide in. They'll be standing in the line at the supermarket and having deep conversations with people. They just attract it without doing anything, as I said, because it's their energy. So there are these beautiful souls. Now they, unlike order, don't really care about being alone because they're all about relationships. They love being in relationships. So their challenge is if they've got a partner who needs alone time because that one's wired differently, they can feel that as rejection, and it's really not. It's that person taking care of their own needs. So for love and healing, they just need to understand that not everybody needs people around them all the time. And if they can find their balance of giving that person space and then being together, then it'll be wonderful because they're just such lovely souls.
Oh, beautiful. All the gifts are beautiful.
And I'm only telling you a little bit about each of them. There's more, but that's kind of the highlights.
Yeah. What about gift number 5?
Number 5, this is mine that I love to envy other people having. It's called divine self-expression. Divine self-expression has the ability to be amazing marketers and salespeople. They are just speaking, and when they speak, it's coming from Creator. They are channeling divine. They may not realize that's what they're doing, and that's why it's so cool to find out this about themselves. But the trick for them is that they're fabulous teachers, but they need to teach their own curriculum. If they had to teach somebody else's curriculum, it would make them nutty because they're always getting this divine information. So they need to take it and distill it. They need to have sounding boards to work with them so that they can bounce it back and forth and refine their message and then go and deliver their beautiful original message to the world. And that's what we're talking about now. This whole protocol is based upon. The originator is self-expression. And so she's downloaded this and created it for all of us.
I'm curious, would you consider people who are channelers, like Lee Carroll, let's say, or Paul Selig, any of the, channelers, would this be one of their gifts?
It's possible, but there are other gifts that do have the ability to channel.
Okay, all right.
For instance, divine order can also channel. That's part of their gift as well. So they're very intuitive and sensitive. They're just getting it. But for self-expression, it's different. Their unique twist is that they've got to share that original message with the world. They're fabulous speakers. For them, being online is just a really great outlet because it allows them to get their message out in many ways, whether it's spoken or written. They're just genius at it. They could be fabulous copywriters.
This could be like Oprah or Ellen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if Oprah was self-expression because it just flows from her. And it's genius.
Fantastic. All right. How about the next one?
Gift number 6 is divine truth. These are the spiritual warriors of the world. They are the whistleblowers because they are wired for truth. They see it. They can see when it's not there. And their soul is just offended by dishonesty and by injustice. And they have to speak about it and get that out. Their challenge is they see it and they say it. And they don't worry about whether they say it in a pretty way.
Right.
So it comes out very bluntly sometimes. They're not very diplomatic. And the tough thing is that in order for divine truth to feed their soul by using their gift, they need to be heard. So if they are unable to learn to speak it in a way that it gets heard, then they get really frustrated and sometimes they'll just shut down, go very internal. Now, what they can do is they can also shift into using visuals. Like they can go into charts and spreadsheets and maybe even art and express what they need to say truthfully. But it's just never going to be as fulfilling as speaking their truth. They are natural lie detectors, which is really an awesome gift to have. So they are not going to get taken advantage of as often as the rest of us because they've got that. Of course, that means they need to understand that's how their gift works and be tuned into it. But once they are, oh my gosh, it's so empowering. They are also channels, and they will channel the most beautiful truth to share with the world.
Beautiful. Okay, the next one.
Divine power. So power, they are the entrepreneurs of the world. They're very independent. They need to do things their own way. They're very intuitive. They can also be channels. But their thing is they've got to have freedom of choice. They're all about freedom of choice. So very often power is this jack of all trades because in their quest for having freedom of choice, They love using tools because tools give us more options and more choices. So power will go out and they'll have all these skills. They're like the inveterate student. They're always learning new stuff. So now when it comes time to make a choice, instead of having 2 or 3 choices that the average person might have, divine power will find themselves with this array of choices, and then they get stuck because they don't want to rule anything out. But that shuts down their manifestation. So for power, what they need to do is figure out a way to narrow down the choices, try to get to one, and if they can't figure that out, then flip a coin and pick one and go do it. So for power, life is like a leapfrog session. They will make the choice, they will leap forward because they need to move fast once they make a choice to get that energy flowing. Then they need to pause and evaluate the choice. If it's working, fabulous, keep going. If it's not working, go make another choice quickly and get going. So that's what life is like for power. They're just kind of leapfrogging from one thing to the next. But they're wonderful teachers and very intuitive, also pretty sensitive. They can tend to become hermits because of that sensitivity. But again, like other gifts with sensitivity, they don't want to go internal and shut down because then they're not sharing their gift with the world and they're not living their purpose.
Wow. I mean, there's such deep teachings in these divine gifts. And like you say, you're just scratching the surface of them. So there's one more gift.
Divine wisdom. So people with divine wisdom are very curious. They're always learning. They've got to be studying and researching and analyzing. They are fabulous analysts. So they're always getting this information and kind of cataloging it for themselves. But for them, what they have to do is share it with people. Because if they don't share it, they're frustrated and they're not living their purpose. Because their purpose is all about gathering all this wisdom and then finding a way to constructively share it to help other people. They are also channels. So they're getting not only what they're researching, but they're channeling more information. And life is just kind of exciting for people with divine wisdom because, like power, they have a lot of options available to them because they have this data bank of wisdom that they have gathered. And they just go out there and share. And that feeds their soul when they're heard, when they share.
So I think the important thing for people to remember is that everybody that comes here comes with a gift. Every soul has at least one main gift.
Absolutely. So it's important to learn about your gift, learn as much about it as you can, and then from there, take it and expand upon it because we all have other nuances to the way that we're wired. I don't think there's a single soul that's a duplicate because Creator added all these other little facets to us that make us unique. And so it's learning to use your own combination in the most powerful way. And for all of us, our purpose is about seeking higher consciousness and finding what feeds our soul. So it's using your gift first for yourself and then sharing it with other people in whatever way you choose. Purpose has nothing to do with a particular career. It's not, you got to be a doctor. It's how do you want to use your gift that feeds your soul?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Most people think that their purpose is a very specific vocation, but really, I think you can do your gift anywhere.
Well, because we have free choice. Creator gave us all free choice. That was the point. So we have this unique combination. We get to decide how we want to use it. And so as long as we're going out there doing things that are delightful and bring us to bliss, it's perfect. We're in alignment.
So Deborah, if people wanted to explore their gift a little bit more, well, first of all, how would they find out what their gift is? And then how would they find out more information about their gift?
Well, I offer 2 ways if they want to come talk to me. One is a very short 15 to 20 minute conversation where I just lay it all on them about their gift. And then they can take that and work with it. And if they want to go further later, they can. Or for people who are really ready to take a deep dive into their soul, I do a soul profile, which is extensive. And we go in and we look for all of these nuances about the soul and put that together in this big picture so that they understand so much more about themselves. And then we look at the karmic issues because all of us have old karma that's still impacting us today. We may not know that's what it is, But when we go back and we look in their Akashic records, we can find the path that takes them to today. Like I talked to this lady recently, and oh my gosh, it was the most phenomenal thing. She has this pattern of being victimized, and that's not uncommon, but hers was most uncommon because when I traced it back to find the origination, it happened in 49,000 and some number BC. When
Wow.
on this planet, that these people were very warrior-like, and they were involved in expanding kind of in negative ways. And she came to the planet because she fell in love with one of the inhabitants. She was Palladian. And so she came, and this offended her soul, all of this aggression and warrior mentality. So she tried to help, to soften them, help to maybe lead them in a different way. And the planet ended up blowing up. The leader blamed her for it because he felt her interference led to that. Well, that's not true, but he blamed her. So since 49,000 BC, he's been chasing her in multiple lifetimes to torment her.
Wow.
And there were instances that showed up where she or he, whichever sex she was in that lifetime, was killed and tortured, and just all kinds of bad things happened over and over. And so I had to say, come on, what is this about? Why would a soul give up their own journey for that long of a time to chase after someone? And that's when they led me back and showed me the story about what happened. It was the planet Maldek. And it was just so hard for me to fathom because I'm not like that. And I can't wrap my head around it. But it was the answer to what was going on. And so by knowing that, then she was able to perform a clearing ritual to release all of that. And in doing so, that also releases that other soul so that they can move on their journey now.
Well, it would be really interesting to see what happens to her journey now without those attachments.
Yeah, well, she will move forward without that energy. So she's now free to make different choices, connect with more positive people that will bring more joy and delight to her world instead of all this victimization. And the incredible thing about this work is that just understanding this opens us up, and our clarity just expands incrementally so that we are more aware of what's going on and we do make better choices. And somehow it like falls away. It's like slipping out of one suit and into a new one almost. So it would be like Linda 2.0 if we did that, right?
And I find for me, sometimes just having an awareness is enough to shift it. And sometimes you have to actually do some healing work. It can go either way. But we are fascinating creatures, aren't we?
Yes, endlessly.
Endlessly. Deborah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this episode. Thank you again for being my guest. And would you like to share your contact information?
Oh, sure. My website is akashaunleashed.com. And they can reach me at Deborah, Debbra, at akashaunleashed.com. I will send you a link for a free meditation if anybody would like one. They are divine downloads and they're beautiful. I have a well-being meditation that is my absolute favorite. It's a guided visualization, and it just lets you interact with this light being who transmits all this beautiful energy to you and helps you to get into a state of well-being. You are in a place where you can connect with your Akashic records. So that's why I like to share that one.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. Everyone, I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation, and please check out some of our other episodes. Bye for now.
Bye.